Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Nitai Gaur Sundar, Jaya Nitai Gaur Sundar, Jaya Nitai Gaur Sundar, Jaya Nitai Gaur Sundar, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Srila Gurudev. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivar Jagacharya Stotri Shatashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Pancham Pranams.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the wonderful Kirtan, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prasanatma, Prabhuji. Welcome, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. That was pronounced to you. Thank you so much. So we can get started?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Then was pronounced. So a wonderful Monday morning, Ekadashi day. So what more than starting off with Bhagavatam. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity to speak a little bit on the Bhagavatam. today. So we'll be looking at 6 verses today, the 4th canto, 4th chapter, verses 1 to 6. So those are the 6 verses that we'll see. So as usual, I mean, we will go through the shlokas one by one. Yes, thank you, Mataji, for sharing. We can go to the first verse. Yeah. So we will read the shloka and then the translation alone, and then we'll move on. We'll cover all the 6 shlokas. So each one will get an opportunity to read either the shloka or the verse, or the translation. So I'll start with the first one. Before we get started, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatam Aham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So the first verse, it's there.
Yeah. Vasudha Mataji can read the verse. Shobha
No,
Mataji translation.
yeah. So Mataji, I was saying that I'll get a chance to read at least one verse. So
Yeah, Mataji. Yeah,
and then
Prabhuji, sure.
others can do that then. Okay. Sorry, being a little selfish there. Okay. Maitreya Uvacha Etavadukva Virarama Shankaraha Patni Anganasam Hai Ubhayatra Chintayan Suhruda Dhidrishu Parishankita Bhavan Nishkramati Nirvishati Dvidhasasa. Yeah, so now the translation.
Vasudha Mataji translation. Do we need to read proper Prabhuji?
No, not the purport, only the translation.
Okay, Vasudha Mataji translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The sage Maitreya said, Lord Shiva was silent after speaking to Sati. Seeing her between decisions, Sati was very much anxious to see her relatives at her father's house. But at the same time, she was afraid of Lord Shiva's warning. Her mind unsettled, she moved in and out of the room as a swing moves this way and that. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. The next verse.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, text number 2, Sudra Distrutsa Pratighatha Durmanaha Nehat Rudadi Ashru Kaladi Vihavala Bhavam Bhavani Apradi Purusam Dusha Pradhaksyati Vaiksata Jata Vepatu. Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji.
Very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Krupa Pai Mataji. Translation.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
Translation, Prabhupada ki jai. Sati felt very sorry at being forbidden to go see her relatives at her father's house, and due to affection for them, tears fell from her eyes. Shaking and very much afflicted, she looked at her uncommon husband, Lord Shiva, as if she were going to blast him with her vision. Purport?
Thank you. That should be.
Purport, shall I continue, Mataji?
No, that's
No, Mataji, we are not
Mataji.
reading the purport.
No purport.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. Next sloka. Yeah, Vasudha Mataji, you can only read Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. ततो विनिस्वस्य सती विहाय तम् शोकेन रोषेण च दूयता हृदा पित्रोरगात्रैन विमूढभिर्गृहान् प्रेम्नात्मनो यो अर्धम् अधात् सतं प्रियः. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Chandana Mataji, translation.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, Sati left her husband, Lord Shiva, who had given her half his body due to affection. Breathing very heavily because of anger and bereavement, she went to the house of her father. This less intelligent act was due to her being a weak woman. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Anybody for the shloka?
Shall I read, Mataji?
Yeah, Mataji, sure. Go ahead.
Samnavagachan drutavikramam satim ekam trinetranucharaha sahasrashah saparshadayaksha maniman madhadayah puro vrisheshandrastarasa yadavyataha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Yeah, Divya Mataji, translation.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. When they saw Sati leaving alone very rapidly, thousands of Lord Shiva's disciples, headed by Maniman and Mada, quickly followed her with his bull Nandi in front and accompanied by the Yakshas. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Krishnamurti Prabhuji, shloka.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranams Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Then was pronounced.
Dandavat pranams Prabhuji. Tam sarika kandu kandarpanambuja shvetata patra vejanasra dagadibihi gita yanairdundubhi shankar venu purushendra maropya vitankita yuyuho. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. I'll only read the translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. She then reached her father's house where the sacrifice was being performed and entered the arena where everyone was chanting the Vedic hymns. The great sages, brahmanas and demigods were all assembled there, and there were many sacrificial animals as well as pots made of clay, stone, gold, grass and skin, which were all requisite for the sacrifice. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I think
Mataji,
we
did you
missed-
read the translation for the fifth one? I think you read some other translation.
I think I read it for the sixth, I think.
Yeah,
Yes,
she read the sixth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it is
sorry.
the fifth.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
That is, sorry, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The disciples of Lord Shiva arranged for Sati to be seated on the back of a bull and gave her the bird which was her pet. They bore a lotus flower and mirror and all such paraphernalia for her enjoyment and covered her with a great canopy, followed by a singing party with drums, conch shells and bugles. The entire procession was as pompous as a royal parade. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So the final one, verse number 6.
Anybody for the shloka? 6 shloka?
Hare Krishna. Shall I only read
Yeah,
Mataji?
Mataji. Sure, Mataji. Read Mataji.
Hare आब्रह्मघोषोर्जितयज्ञवैशसं विप्रर्षिजुष्टं विबुधैश्च सर्वसः मृधार्वय काञ्चनदर्भ चर्मभिर्निसृष्टभान्दं यजनं समाविशत्. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krupamai Mataji, translation.
Mataji. Translation. She then reached her father's house where the sacrifice was being performed and entered the arena where everyone was chanting the Vedic hymns. The great sages, brahmanas and demigods were all assembled there, and there were many sacrificial animals as well as pots made of clay, stone, gold, grass and skin, which were all requisite for the sacrifice. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, devotees. Thank you, Mataji, for coordinating that. So 6 shlokas, 1 to 6, we just saw and the meaning. So we'll now continue with the details. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Supadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, seeking the blessings and the mercy of all the devotees who are here, so kindly shower your mercy on me so that I'll be able to do some justice to these wonderful verses. These verses are like so much, and then the purpose that Prabhupada has put in so much of clarity in that. So we will try to see that. Doing this as a service to the Guru Parampara and for the pleasure of the Lordships and for my own purification. Hare Krishna. So this is a new chapter that we have begun. So this chapter is titled Sati Quits Her Body. So we know at the end what's going to happen, but then the roll-up, how it happens is what we are going to see. And when we are actually, if you look at the previous chapter, in that chapter, if you recall, there is this conversation with Lord Shiva and Sati Mata. So they have a conversation where she is expressing her desire to go and then for the sacrifice that is being performed by Daksha, who is her father. Now, everybody knows that this particular sacrifice was being conducted just to insult Lord Shiva. So he had no other motive. Now, why he wanted to insult Lord Shiva? So he thought, as in Daksha thought that he was insulted by Lord Shiva in another gathering which happened before, where Lord Shiva actually did not respect him, that is Daksha Prajapati. He was not respected in the assembly where even Lord Vishnu was there. So he was also present, Lord Brahma was there, everybody was there, but somehow Lord Shiva did not respect him, so he takes a lot of offense, or he becomes very upset about that, and then he wants to get back at Lord Shiva in his own way, and that's how then he makes this yajna, and then he decides not to invite Lord Shiva, that is the son-in-law, as well as the daughter, that is Sati Mata. So this was the mind of Daksha, so we can understand. So when Sati Mata, but then the news somehow reaches them that there is this sacrifice that is happening and everybody is being invited. So he wants to make it as grand as possible. So he actually invites all the sages, the rishis, and then there is also an invite that has gone out to all the demigods. And then there is also the invite for his own family, that is his other daughters, and then all those extended families that are there. So now Sati Mata wanted to actually go there because it gives an opportunity for her to see all of them. And going back to the father's place is something that one does not need any invite. And that's how she reasons with Lord Shiva, begging him to grant her permission to go. Now, Lord Shiva actually says how her father and his followers are actually envious of him. Even though you don't need an invite, you are now mine, as in we are together here. And then actually your father is very envious of me. And here definitely there is going to be a lot of insult, because he had insulted me with cruel words. And although he was very innocent, I mean, he had not made that aparad. He thought that Lord Shiva had committed that aparad, but that was not the case. So then Lord Shiva is actually concluding, saying that in spite of this, you still want to go, then the future will not be good for you. So that's what Lord Shiva is saying. Because if you go there, then you will be insulted there. And that insult will be equal to death for you. So in one sense, he is prophesizing what's going to happen, because if you go there, then you'll be insulted and it's as good as death for you. So the best thing is not to go. Now, here we are seeing how after this, then Lord Shiva stops to speak. Then he says, it's like saying that it's up to you, but then you should not be going there. So you can see there is nothing that is forced on anybody in the whole of Adhyatmika and Shrimad Bhagavatam. Nobody forces anybody to do anything. So they are given the choices and then they have to take their own decision. And based on the decisions that they take, then they will have to reap the karma or the whatever is due because of that, the reactions of that particular activity or action they will have to face. So this is how the entire system worked, and then people were given a free will or a choice to execute their free will. I mean, and where is that coming from? That's coming from Krishna, because Krishna has given all of us the free will, whether we can be with him or we can stay away from him. And then we have exercised the second option, so we all know that, and that is why we are here. So in this way, the option of free will is there, but then we will have to accept the reactions based on what we choose. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives the ultimate choice to him. I've explained in the 18th chapter, he says, I've told everything that needs to be told. Now it's up to you. If you didn't understand, you ask me, I don't mind saying it again. But then the decision is yours. You can either stay and then fight, or you can retire to the forest, whatever you set out to do first before the Bhagavad Gita started, that is. So you wanted to go to the forest. So it's up to you. You can do that. But then Arjuna understood, and then he says, Karishye vachanam tava. And then he says, I'll go with what you have said, or whatever you are instructing me, I'll go with that. And then that's how then the rest is like the war happens and all that. Okay. So this aspect of free will is there, and then she is also being given a free will, where it's up to her. Whatever she wants, she can do. So naturally, the very first text is about how Sati is torn between decisions. She is wondering, what should I do? She is on one hand very anxious to see her relatives and friends, but then she was afraid of Lord Shiva's warning also, because Lord Shiva had said that it's not going to be good for you if you go there. But she is feeling sorry for being forbidden to go there to see her relatives. So there's a lot of emotions that are going through her. And then tears fell from her eyes due to the affection that she had for all her family members. She was actually shaken and she was afflicted by this particular thing, the decision that she has to take. She's torn between the two. And then because of that, I mean, that is very symbolically, it is represented by her moving in and out, moving back and forth, in and out. The example given is that of a swing, where the swing is going up and down, or one way and the other way. So like that, her mind is also agitated, and then it is moving this way and that way. Should I go? Okay, I will go. And then next moment, no, maybe I should not go. So it's like the pendulum swinging, or the swinging up, back and forth. So like that, that's her mood. Then all of a sudden she leaves and goes off to her father's house. So she goes very quickly because she doesn't want to think further. She just takes a decision based on her emotion. And then in spite of all the warnings, because she is overcome by emotions, she could not heed to the intelligent words of Lord Shiva, and she just decides to go. So here you can see a case or a scenario where emotions take over the intelligence. And then while she knows that she should not be going, but then she decides to go. And she just walks out very quickly because she didn't want to change her decision after that again and again. So she says, okay, now I've made up my mind, I'll just go. So like that. So it's a very emotional decision she makes, and then she walks out. So in the next verse 4 and all that, we see the disciples of Lord Shiva who were outside, and the disciples of Lord Shiva, or you can call them the attendants of Lord Shiva, they see Mata Sati leave, and immediately they followed her. They knew that Lord Shiva did not want her to go alone. And so it was their duty to go along with Sati Mata, so that she doesn't have to go through all of this alone. So they accompany. And it was not just few of them who went. It was thousands of them who gathered together and then they went. And then how they went is also described here. So it looked like a grand royal procession, the way they all went. So they made Mata Sati sit on the bull, and then they gave her things so that that journey could be that much more better. So whatever she likes, those things were all given so that she can be entertained during the journey. And then they got out their drums, bugles, and all of that, kartals and all. And they were conch shells, everything they were playing. So it was like a singing party. So with a lot of singing and all of that, they proceed to the house of Daksha. So then what happens is she reaches the house of her father-in-law's house. Her father's place. That is, after she reaches there, then she is seeing all the arrangements that are there. And there are three things that is worth noticing there, which is mentioned in the shlokas and in the purport. So there, the three distinct things that she sees are the Brahmanas and the demigods who have gathered there. So she sees all the invitees who are there. And then what were the Brahmanas doing? They were all, many of them were chanting, and then some of them were having some argument as in debates. They were debating on the conclusions of the Shastras and so on and so forth. So it's like the getting together of all Brahmana class of people. So they were doing these activities. The demigods were there, and we'd seen how Sati Mata is seeing all the demigods with their families flying in those aeroplanes, and as they fly past in Kailash, she gets very excited, and that's how then she develops this huge desire to go and attend, because she's seeing all the other women in all finery, they are all going. So she also wants to be part, and she also wants to meet her sisters and so on and so forth. So she sees all of these people, the demigods as well as the Brahmanas. Then she is also seeing all the sacrificial animals that are kept ready there, because the sacrifice is yet to begin. And then she's also seeing all the offerings that are there, huge quantities of offerings in the pots, pots made of mud, pots made of gold, pots made of glass, skin, many things, so different kinds of pots. So everything is there. And so these are the things that she sees. And then she is actually going to a sacrifice that is not performed for the satisfaction of Vishnu. That's what our acharyas are saying. So even though everything looks very nice and wonderful to look at, but then the reason or the background to this entire sacrifice was not correct. So it was a sacrifice that was performed not for the satisfaction of Vishnu, but it was being performed to satisfy the ego of Daksha Prajapati. So that was a major shift in the sacrifice itself. So that means then it's not a sacrifice, because sacrifice means then it is for Vishnu only. But then here it was a different reason. So because we understand that from the scriptures, the purpose of any sacrifice is to please Krishna. That's all, and nothing else, because he is the Bhuktaram. And then we also know that everything belongs to Krishna. So even if you look at that Bhagavad Gita verse where it says that Bhuktaram Yajna Tapasam. So the Bhuktaram Yajna Tapasam, Krishna is the Bhuktaram. He's the enjoyer of all sacrifices, yajnas, and he is also the Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So he is the controller of the whole universe, all the universes put together. Then the third line is Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam. So he is a Suhruda, or a well-wisher. So in fact, our acharyas say there is no English equivalent for this word Suhruda. but the closest is being a well-wisher. So they use that word well-wisher. So he's beyond a friend. He's a well-wisher, and a well-wisher under all circumstances, whether you are in you're amicable to him or you're hostile to him, still he is a well-wisher. So generally, well-wishers or all that will depend on the reciprocation, right? Where if the person is amicable to me, then I will be good to him. That's the kind of propensities. I mean, that's the kind of thing that we all have, pravriti that we all have. But then here, the Lord is beyond that. He's Suhruda. He is, even if the other person, that is a living entity, is not amicable but inimical to that to the Lord, still the Lord is a Suhruda. He still wishes him well. It's like the father of a disobedient son, you can say, because the son is not respecting the father and all of that is there. So you know that situation where the son is not very hostile for whatever reason. But still the father is always a well-wisher. So he always wishes him well only. So this is how the Supreme Lord is also. And he is Suhruda for not just one or two people or for his devotees, but for Sarva Bhutanam, all the Bhutas, all the living entities, not just human beings, animals, plants, everything, all the living entities. So when we understand these three things, enjoyer of all sacrifices, controller of the universe, and well-wisher of all the jivas, or all the bhutas, not jivas. So then that means then, with that knowledge, then, jnatva mam shantim vrichati. So when we have this knowledge, then we become peaceful. So this is the peace formula. Prabhupada uses this particular phrase. He says that we have the peace formula with us, but people don't want to accept it or they don't want to take it. So if they take this, then everything becomes peaceful. So now you see there are so much of war that is happening. Every war that is happening is because of the egos of people who are the leaders, the so-called leaders, and then they have some one-upmanship. They want to control others. They think somebody is subordinate to me, and the other person is thinking why I should be subordinate, and somebody else is saying this is how things should be. This is how you should worship. This is how you should lead your life, and somebody else saying, no, this is not the way, I'll do it my way. And then there is this conflict that is happening. And that conflict, many times, oftentimes, we have seen how it escalates to war. And this escalation to war is not a very good thing. So there is no peace. There's no peace, not just for those people. I say up till that point where the war is breaking out, there is no peace for them. Because in their minds, they were fighting this war. But then when the war breaks out, then it becomes physical and then it affects the whole population on either side. So everybody is tensed. And some of them are tensed because of the fear of losing things. And some of them go into a depression because they've already lost it. Maybe they lost their house, they lost their near and dear ones. And if somebody has not lost it, then there's always this constant fear of losing it. So either way, it's not a good situation for anybody. So there is no shanti, there is no peace. So in this way, now there is the sacrifice that is happening, which is not for the Supreme Lord. It's not done in the mood of Bhoktaram, Yajna Tapasam. And Sarvaloka Maheshwaram is forgotten. And they have also forgotten how Suhruda the Lord is. So naturally, there is not going to be any peace. So when such sacrifices happen, then one should not take part in them, as Vishnu is not glorified. So there is a lot of envy for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that envy for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually reflected as envy to Vaishnavas. So who's the Vaishnava for whom this particular envy is being shown? That is for Lord Shiva. Because we know Lord Shiva is the Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambho. So Lord Shambhu is the Parama Vaishnava, is the first Vaishnava, and they are insulting this Vaishnava, which is as good as insulting the Lord himself. So the end result is not going to be good. There is nothing auspicious about this particular yajna which is about to happen. So it is all ashubh, or it's not a very shubh event. So now Lord Shiva is we saw that. And then Sati Mata is actually going there And then even though she knew that things are not going to go well for me. So this is the scenario. We just explained that. I mean, these 6 verses talk about this. Now, what happens after she goes there and things, that's not the scope of our discussion for today, because subsequent days, then, I mean, as we move on, then that will get covered. But now, if you look at these verses, there are 2 major lessons that come across, which we will try to touch on. One is, you might be wondering, why did Sati Mata walk out? Why did she act so irresponsibly? She should not have gone. Yes, she should not have gone. But then, generally, we come up with this kind of a view. And then we try to judge somebody. In this case, Sati Mata. Sometimes, in spite of ourselves, we might judge. So this is not correct. This is the first lesson that we will always have to remember. Great personalities, even if they do some mistake, point number 1 is, we should not judge them. We should not react to that. If we react, then it becomes an aparad that we have committed, and we will have to face the consequences of that. So now let's see some examples of where such instances happen, because we've seen, like, one example is how Lord Brahma, when he gets attracted to Saraswati Mata, even though, I mean, goddess Saraswati is actually daughter of Lord Brahma, because Brahma is the creator, and then she is being created by him. So in one sense, she is the daughter, but then he gets attracted to her in a different way. He gets attracted, and this attraction makes him run behind. There is this particular incident that happened, which we are aware of. Now, when this was happening, it was a mistake that was committed by Lord Brahma, so to speak. In the material, if you look at it, it should not happen like that. But when the grandchildren, that is, grandchildren of Lord Brahma, see this, and then they just smile, like smirk, or they just laugh, that kind of a thing. But because that becomes an aparad, because they actually laughed at Lord Brahma, because he's not worthy. I mean, you cannot smirk at the actions of such great personalities, is the concept that we are trying to understand here. So what happened to them? They are actually the children of Marichi. So they were actually born as sons of Hiranyakashipu. So, the entire clan, and then they were killed by Lord Indra. So even before Prahlad was born, there was a great battle that ensued between Indra and the rest of the demons, because Hiranyakashipu was out on a meditating to get more powers. So he thought this was the best time to finish off the rest of the army, the children and all of them, so that then later on individually, then Hiranyakashipu will be that much more weaker, and he can be handled, because he didn't attack him because he was meditating. So that's another aspect. But anyway, so they were all killed. They were born as the children of Hiranyakashipu, sons of Hiranyakashipu, and they were killed ultimately by Lord Indra. Then subsequently, they were also born as the 6 sons of Devaki, and we know how they were killed by Kamsa. So they, because of the aparad, they had to undergo so many such, trouble, or they were put into so much of difficulty where they were punished in this way, we can say. So that's a lesson for us. We should not, point out or comment on the mistakes made by great personalities, though it might look like an apparent mistake. So we'll try to see why. So now some more examples we can look at, like Indradev. Indra also. Indra, if you look at all the pastimes, he comes across as a villain for all the pastimes that are there. So when Prithu Maharaj was performing sacrifices, he steals the sacrificial horse many times. Then he is also, he doesn't behave properly with I think, Aditi. And like that, there are many instances where we might start wondering, I mean, why is Indra doing all of this? And we might end up judging Indra, but we need to be very, very careful not to judge, not to smile, smirk, or make such comments, because they are great personalities. And then we should also understand that they are all actually playing a role, a part in the Leela that is happening. So in this way, we should not judge them, because we should understand that this is the desire of the Lord, or this is the will of the Lord, and that is why then such things are all happening. So if you have to perform a drama which has got a hero and a villain, then somebody has to play the role of the villain. So you'll have to take somebody who is part of the troupe only. They will not take a villain from somewhere else because it's a villain, bad character. So none of my people will play that. The drama coordinator will not think like that. He'll try to take the best so that they'll be able to emote well, and then the whole drama comes out very well. So Leelas are also like that. There is a message. Who's the audience? Audience are the people who were there then. And if it is when it is told as stories, then we continue to be the audience. Anyone who hears those continue to be audiences. So now such a scenario, then we should understand that it is Bhagavad Ichchaya. So even if there is a mistake, then it has to be understood as it is done on the instruction, or because of the Lord, because of they are under it is done under the control of the Lord. We cannot say it is under the instruction of the Lord, but it is under the control of the Lord. How they get controlled under the Lord, that we know by the potency of Yoga Maya. So there is this covering whereby they are made to act. In fact, before we hear the Bhagavad Gita, our acharyas have said that Arjuna was asking so many questions, some of them were very silly. It doesn't mean that he didn't know any of these. He knew, but then he played that role of a good student, and then asked those relevant questions so that the truths can come out from Krishna, the explanations will come out from Krishna, and when that has got recorded, and then when it is heard by others, then it becomes like he's playing that role of a student. So when you're playing the role of a student, you'll have to ask questions. So in this way, and then that doesn't mean that he didn't know these. Some of it he knew, but then because he was playing that role, then he asked that kind of question. So that's how they say. So there are many such instances where Indradev is one example. So we can't condemn them. If we condemn them, then it becomes an aparad. So it is because of the will of providence that such mistakes are happening. And that's the view that we'll have to know. So in the same way, though it might look like Sati Mata is disobeying the instructions or of her husband, that is Lord Shiva, but then we should just understand and take it that this is to ensure that the Leela moves forward, and that is how then she disobeys. So by disobeying, she is giving us all a lesson that one should not disobey a husband, especially if the husband is a Vaishnava. So that is when then there will be overall well-being for all of the, for the entire people, for both of them, that is, or the whole family. So there are many examples of this kind of portrayal that is there, like the portrayal of Yudhishthira during the gambling match. Why did he gamble? And people pass a lot of comments, but we should understand that he's a great personality. And just to take that Leela forward, then there are certain arrangements that have happened, which paves the way to show the supremacy of the Lord and the faith of Draupadi and all of that. So, and then that's how it has to move. Bhishma Dev being quiet during that sabha when Draupadi is begging for protection. It's very heart-wrenching scenario, but then Bhishma Dev is very quiet and silent, and then so there again, for whatever reason, but then it's the play of Yoga Maya because he is a very great personality. So if anybody is a part of any Leela, whether it's hero, villain, friend, whatever it is, they are all influenced by Yoga Maya. Only then they'll be able to play that particular role well. So the Yoga Maya makes somebody forget in a certain way, somebody in some other type of memory is removed so that they'll be able to play that role. Okay. So we should not judge. That's lesson number one. In fact, the lecture that I was listening to, Prabhu was also talking about the Panchakanyas, the 5 Panchakanyas who are there in our Shastras. So who are they? Some of you might know. They are Mandodari, then Ahalya, Kunti, Tara, and Draupadi. So they are actually, what do they call that? Chaste. They're the top in the chaste. That is, they are the 5 most chaste women in our Shastra, like how you have the 12 Mahajans who know everything about the Lord, like that the 5 chaste women are Mandodari, Ahalya, Kunti, Tara, and Draupadi. But then if you look at them and then what circumstances and how they became famous, so it sounds a little difficult because Kunti Maharani, she had the way the Pandavas came in, we know that. And then Karna was also born. So then how is it that she can be so chaste? She can be considered as chaste. Draupadi again had to marry the 5 Pandavas. And Mandodari again, because Mandodari was with Ravana, she was siding a Rakshasa, a demon. But then she was so much dedicated to him, so she became glorious because of that. So like that, we can understand how personalities sometimes, they might lead, they might lead lives which might be very opposite. It might convey an opposite meaning to what they are identified for. But then we should not make that aparad of judging them in that way, because we'll have to look at it from the jnana chakshashu, that is the knowledge of the Shastras or the wisdom of the Shastras. So we'll have to see through the Shastric eyes. Otherwise, it will be very misleading. So that's number 1. Number 2 is we saw how all of them, just the followers of Lord Shiva who were there, they just followed Sati Mata. They didn't wait for the instructions from Lord Shiva because they knew they were all, they were acharaha. That's the word that is used there. Anucharaha, sorry. The Anucharaha means followers. And Anucharaha, the followers, they were the best of the followers. They were the best of the disciples, you can say, for Lord Shiva, who's a Parama Vaishnava. So they knew how to obey him. And they also knew what to do when there were no instructions coming. They knew the heart of their Lord or their master, that is Lord Shiva in this case. So even without saying anything, they knew that Lord Shiva didn't want Sati Mata to go alone. So they immediately followed. They didn't go and try to stop her and all that. That would be another aparad. That's like, they don't have the adhikar for that. So they just accompanied. So they just wanted to make sure that no harm comes to her, or at least some protection during that journey, all of that. So they wanted to be with her so that Lord Shiva is also satisfied. So in this way, they just followed. And that was in thousands. So here, we should understand what are the various moods or levels of obedience that is there. So the first one is, and this is, if it has to be relevant to us, then it should be the example of a guru and a disciple. So here also it is the same, right? Lord Shiva is the guide for all of them. So he is the one who's taking care of them. He is custodian of all of these bhutas or all of these entities. And he is making them progress in their own way. We know that. So, and he is a Vaishnava. So actually they are serving a Vaishnava. So they will definitely get benefits. So in this way, through Shiva, all of them are getting the mercy of Vishnu. So that's one philosophy that we are aware of, and it is there. So now, if we have to take the learnings from that, then we'll have to see how there is this concept of guru and shishya, or a master and a disciple, and how there are various types of disciples who are there. So the very first one is who becomes a disciple, but then he never obeys the spiritual master. So master might say something, but he will always come up with some excuses. This is the worst scenario. Like, give some excuse. I'll say, okay, I will do, but then not do, that kind of a thing. So there is no sincerity in that relationship. So the surrender is not there. But somehow, because of situations, he's become a guru, or he wants to have a guru because everybody has, or whatever is the reason. So that person will have his own reasons for that, but then you end up with that, and then they will not obey in any way. For them, their own personal things come first. My family, my this thing. Then later on, if there is time, then maybe I will do a little bit of that. So they don't allocate time for following the instructions of the guru. Allocation is, again, guru is not expecting us to do 100%, but then saying regularly do certain things, but still we try to not do those things, Because we come up with excuses. Oh no, this time I had this month I was busy, that happened, this happened. After I do this, then I will get into that. And we keep trying to procrastinate things without really wanting to do that particular seva. So there is no obedience there. So this is like it is actually compared to a dead body. So we are like, the disciple is like a dead body because he just doesn't do. So it doesn't like that. Then the other one is they receive instructions from the guru. They want to do it, but they don't have the ability or the capability to do that. So there is no knowledge, there is no intelligence. So that's again the next level. But there is sincerity, They want to do it. So that actually, how do we understand this? There are some very funny examples of disciple and guru, though it is told in a very humorous way, but we get an idea of how, what is the situation there. It's like these disciples who are so dumb, they have to be told everything. So it's like this, a set of disciples are taking their guru and they are going from one place to another. They're probably carrying the guru in a palanquin and something like, no, they're carrying the guru on in a chariot, a horse-drawn carriage. So some things fall off because of all that jolting and all that. But then they didn't pick up. They didn't realize that it has to be picked up, like the sandals of the guru or whatever. Because they have not been told. The guru has, I mean, they thought, okay, guru will tell if it has to be picked up, we'll pick up. So it's so dumb. So they're not using their intelligence in the right way. So after some times they go and then the guru is trying to look for what happened to my paduka, my footwear. Then he is not able to find it. And they say, oh, where is it? He asked his disciple. They say, oh, that fell down a mile ago. And he said, why did you not pick it up? I said, we didn't know where to pick up. Then he says, okay, moving forward, make sure that you pick up everything that is dropping off the carriage. So then you know what happens the next time. So the next time, then this horse that is pulling the carriage, it drops. There are droppings. So our gurus, I mean, our disciples, they think, oh, guru has said we have to pick up. So they end up picking up all the dung and putting it in the carriage while the guru is taking rest with his eyes closed. Then after some time, he gets a smell. He wonders, what is this? And he looks around and then he finds this particular thing. So then the guru has to again tell them, no, it is not like that. It is only things that fall off, which you will have to pick up, which is from the carriage, not from toppings and all that he explains. So they said, okay. So like this now, long story short, so they have to be told everything. And then though it might sound a little amusing and funny, but we are not into that narration, so I will just cut it short. So we understand that they can be disciples in that cadre where they have to be told everything to the point of frustrating the guru, which is not very correct because they are not using their intelligence. And they might end up doing some stupid thing. They'll say that, in fact, in that story, it goes on like, he gives a list of things which have to be picked up. And then they realize that something is not in that list. The guru himself falls off because so much of jolting is there, but they didn't pick him up. But they pick up all, the carriage overturns actually. So they pick up all other things because the guru has said, okay, pick all this. But then he is not there in that list. So they leave him and then they go. So then the villagers there, they gather around and said, why are you alone here, Guruji? What happened? And then they say, I was not in that list. so like that. So anyway, that's on the humor side. But that's not that's how a disciple should behave. Then there are disciples who will carry out the orders of their guru using their intelligence with all sincerity. In the second instance that we discussed, there is a lot of sincerity. Sincerely, they want to serve the guru, but the intelligence is not in them. So that's the second scenario. Third one is where there is sincerity, and also there is intelligence. Now, sincerity and intelligence, they are the regular ones where the instructions are given and then they take it seriously and they find out resources to how to go about executing it. So this is the regular. This is where you come to the level of being a disciple of the guru. That's when you'll be called a disciple of the guru. Because the other two instances, you cannot be called because in one, you are very insincere. In the other one, you are sincere, but then you don't have the intelligence. So you again make mistakes and then you displease the guru. So pleasing the guru is when the two matches, intelligence as well as sincerity. Now there is something beyond that also, where the guru is not giving any instructions, but then you still carry out, you know the mood of the guru, and then you carry out the instruction. And that is the level that we are seeing in the followers of Lord Shiva, because they are in that platform where they understand the mood and then they know what is to be done. And without waiting for the instructions, they still go ahead and execute it. So this is one notch higher than just waiting for instructions and then carrying it out well. So this is what we are seeing here. So there are, I mean, of course, there are many more layers to it. Another layer is when a disciple disobeys the guru, but ultimately pleases the guru. So that's the highest level, where it might look like he is not following the instructions, he is disobeying, but still the guru becomes very pleased because of that disobedience. So can anybody think of any such instances where the disciple is going beyond, not just beyond the words of the guru? Yeah, he's going beyond the words of the guru, but then he's trying to relate to the mood of the guru and then carrying out instructions in that way and please the guru even more. So anybody wants to say anything comes to anybody's mind? So one particular example is of Shrimad Ramanujacharya. So if you see, there is this particular pastime where he goes to Goshti Purn to take a certain mantra, and then he serves him he serves Goshti Purn, and then so he is the guru for him. Of course, Ramanujacharya had many gurus, so one of them is Goshti Purn. So when he goes there in that mutt, he spends time, he's given this particular mantra with the instruction saying that I'm giving you this mantra, which is a mantra for liberation, and don't share it with anybody. So that's a clear-cut instructions given by the guru. And Ramacharya agrees, and then he agrees. So he had the intelligence, he had the sincerity, everything was there. And then the mantra is given. But immediately after he gets that mantra, the story goes on, which says that he goes out into that town or that village where he was nearby that. He gets on to a elevated place, and then he calls all the residents, whoever is there, the passers-by, the public, he calls them all. He says, come, come, I've got something very valuable to share with you all. And then he gathers a crowd, so all of them gather around. They understand. Then he says that I have got something very valuable from my guru, Goshti Purn, and I want to share it with all of you. And then he shares that mantra with all of them. And he says, chant this, and then you will be liberated. That is what my guru said. We don't need anything else. You just recite this mantra, and then you will be liberated. And then he gives it out freely, without any reservations. And the people who then they come to know of this Goshti Purn also becomes very angry. And then he's called, he's summoned, and then Ramacharya goes there. And he says, I told you very specifically not to give. Why did you do it? And then Ramacharya says, but Gurudev, you told us that this mantra is liberating. He said, yes. And if it is liberating for anyone who chants it, yes. So I was so happy to receive this. And then I just wanted to give it to all of these people because I cannot watch their sufferings. And so I gave it. Then do you know what will happen? You disobeyed me, Goshti Purn says. Yes, I know. I'll go to hell. But one soul, me, going to hell is much better than all of them going to hell. At least let them get liberated. So when he hears these words, then Goshti Purn becomes happy. And then he embraces him and he says, you are my perfect disciple. You understood my mood. And then even though there are instructions which are against, but then you carry it out. This is a very high level. This is just for our understanding. It's not like we try to look for such situations and then try to go beyond the guru. We should never do that. But this is just to understand that there are so many levels of interactions that can happen. Like even that Paroksha Jnana is something that we take from the guru and then we follow instructions or anything coming in the mode of Paroksha. And a Paroksha is where even though the instructions are not there, then you're able to execute it well. So that can align there. But then this is even beyond that, where it might look contradictory, but then it is still aligning to the guru. So these are higher forms of relationships that one can form with the guru and serve the guru in that way. So all of this boils down to the aspect of serving the guru, because Ramacharya didn't want any credit for himself. He just wanted to tell his guru that so many of them are getting liberated. If I am suffering, then no problem. And there are many instances, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, our pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where for the Lord, the disciple is able to, the example of Govinda, if you take, he could make an aparadh, he could step over his guru or Mahaprabhu. There are two counts he is making an aparadh. One is, it is his guru and he is also the Supreme Lord. In both counts, he is making an aparadh by stepping over him and then coming in to do a seva. But he doesn't, but then that was not considered an aparadh because he is serving the Lord eventually. So that's pleases Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But then he says, then why did you not go out after your seva? Then he said, you're blocking my way. Then he said, how is it then you came in? Then he says, like, to do the seva, I can do any aparadhs. But then in the same way, you should have gone out. But then he doesn't say anything, which means that he should have gone out for his prasadam. But that was for his own personal need. So when he is doing any action for his own personal self, then all this we have to be more mindful of, and that's what is being it's coming out in this particular pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where he doesn't go out. Then after Mahaprabhu wakes up, then he gives him permission to go. Then he goes and probably has. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes very pleased with the understanding, the level of understanding that the disciple had, that is Govinda had. He is very happy with that. So like that, pleasing the Guru is not just obeying the orders. Of course, it is to do with obeying the orders for people like all of us, neophytes. But then there is more to it also, which is the level, more to it is what we are seeing here in the followers of Lord Shiva, where they understood the mood of their master and they go out. And then along with Sati Mata. So these are some of the things that I thought I should share. It's exactly 10:30 now. I'll stop. So the main lessons are not to judge when very elevated people or very elevated personalities make some mistakes. We should understand that it is Bhagavat Ichchaya and should not judge them. And then we also saw how dutiful one needs to remain to the master. So going beyond the instructions of the master and then still continue to serve in the best interest of the master. So these are two things that comes out, which I thought I'll just share in detail. So I'll stop here. Any comments or questions, please go ahead. Otherwise, we can conclude for today.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Shobha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I wanted to know, like you said that Lord Brahma has created Goddess Saraswati. And so is it the same case with all the demigods or like it's different?
I didn't follow the question fully. All the demigods meaning what?
Like, Prabhuji, like Indra and all the demigods are like god of water and other demigods, they are all created by Brahma, Lord Brahma?
Yeah, he is the one who creates everybody, right? He is giving a suitable body for all of the souls to come in and occupy those positions based on their eligibility. So he is the secondary creator. Visarga, no? Sarga and then Visarga. So, but then just for our understanding, we take him as a creator. But he knows that he is not the creator. He is just the secondary creator. So now, what is it that he created? He didn't create the soul in that. They just came and occupied. He gave them the bodies, suitable bodies. So that in that sense, he is the creator. Yes. Did that make sense? I mean, you are able to understand that?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Padma Mataji. Padma
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Pranams.
Hare Krishna.
Text 16, it says, the old animals were offered in the fire and rejuvenated. But does that happen immediately or does it take time? Now, because they say, but to test Vedic mantra by giving an animal new life. New life means like, see, when we leave the body, then obviously we take a new body later on. But this happens immediately, or like, do they get a new body immediately by doing the yajna?
Yeah, I've heard that they get it immediately. Prabhupada has mentioned in the lectures, like they immediately get a new body and the old body is consumed in the fire. So it should be immediate. But anyway, I think there will be more details when we come to that shloka, I think.
Yeah, this was a bit confusing, Prabhuji.
No, it is immediate, Mataji, because that's how they
immediate.
tested their mantras also. No, testing their mantras is they have to see the result immediately. No, otherwise, now I've chanted, now I put this animal in fire. Now after 2 years, I'll see the result. Means that's not okay. So it is immediate.
Well, they get the same body or some other body,
No,
Prabhuji?
that will depend, no, on the mantra, what they want, how they want, if they wanted to
Oh,
get
okay.
another body or all of that. So, but then the mantra, whether it works or not, how do you test? So, like Prabhupada gives this example of how animals are tested and all that. So, in the olden days also they used to test, but not with the intention to consume their meat. They were killed or to show off that they could do these things, but it is just to test the strength of the mantras so that they are sufficient. I mean, they are not testing the mantras, they are testing their ability to chant those mantras because they know that the mantras will anyway do what is to be done. So they're not doubting that, but they are trying to make sure that I'm able to do it. So that's all.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I think there are no more questions, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
And now we'll be having Damodar Arati, Prabhuji. If you want, you can leave, Prabhuji. So we'll be having Damodar Arati.
Oh, okay. So I should have
Hare,
finished early because of this Damodar.
no, Hare Krishna Mataji, I was wondering if Prabhuji could show his deity.
Yeah,
If
yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji is okay.
Will you show the altar, Prabhuji, today?
Yeah, okay. 1 second.
We'll be singing song, Damodar Ashtakam.
Can I sing, Mataji?
Padma Mataji, you want to sing, Mataji?
So some Prabhuji said he wants to sing.
Subbarao Prabhuji, is it?
Mataji.
Subbarao Prabhuji?
I'm having a bit of a cold, that's why maybe some other day.
Subbarao Prabhuji? Who wants to recite today?
Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam
Just
Nasatkundalam
like Prabhuji,
Gokule
Prabhuji will be showing the altar.
Pradyamanam. Is it audible, Mataji?
1 second.
Yeah, Prabhuji will be showing the altar. No, Prabhuji will be showing the altar. Just a minute.
Where is that camera? Can do it like this.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
And Damodar is also here, yes. Can you all see the clarity?
Yes, Subbarao Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji Hare Krishna. Mataji Hare Krishna. Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Prajamanam Yashodabhiyolu Praladhavamanam Paramrushtamathyam Tato Drutya Gopya Rudantam Muhurunetrayukmam Rujantam Karambojayukmena Satankanetram Muhuswasakam Patrirekhankakanta Sitagraivam Damodaram Bhakti Bhattam Iti Druksaliladhirananda Kunde Sagosham Nimachantam Samakyapayantam Tadiyechi Bhaktikneshu Bhaktaijitatvam Puna Prematastam Shatavrutti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshavadhim Va Na Chanyam Bruneham Pareshadapiha Idam Deva Purnada Gopala Bala Sadame Manasya Viraktam Kimanye Iti idam te mukham bhojamatyantaleele rutukuntalai snigdharaktai chagopya muhuschumbitam bimba raktadharam me manasya vidastamalam lakshyalabhai Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhu Dukkha Jalabdimagnam Krupa Drushti Vrishchati Dinam Batanu Druhanesha Mamadya Yakshidusya Kuberatmajo Baddhamurtaiva Yatva Vayamojito Bhakti Bhajau Krutocha Tadha Prema Bhakti Swakami Prayacha Namokshe Grahume Siddhamodaresha Namaste Studamne Spuraditi Namne
त्वदीयोदरादाय विश्वस्य धाम्ने तमोराधिकायै तदीयप्रियायै नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरि बोल।
Thank you, Subhara Prabhuji. Thank you, Prasanatma Prabhuji, for showing the altar. Thank you.
That's a full altar, so it is
Thank you, Prabhuji.
not from the rest of the altars. So
Hari Bol, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for showing us the altar.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
okay. The Lordships wanted to see all of you, so it's nice.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right, so we can conclude for today's session with
Yes,
is that okay?
Vancha kalpadurubhyascha.
Which kripa
Vancha kalpadurubhyascha. Deva Shrivanam Bhavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Shri Vaishnavita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Mantra Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Ki jai.
Sati Mata ki jai. Nitya Gaur Sitanath Paramanande
Hari Hari
Hari.
Bol.
Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Shall I